The mafia boss found a girl chained and crying in the basement, and it was his brother's house. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and helps us bring you more dramatic and emotional stories. And tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you so much. Now let's go back to our main character. Cold concrete presses against my skin. My eyelids feel heavy, glued shut by sweat, dust, and dried tears. When I finally manage to pry them open, the world is nothing but shadows and a single beam of golden light leaking through the door at the top of the stairs. The chain around my ankle clinks when I move. It bites into my skin, raw from days, or weeks, or months. I've stopped counting. Time doesn't exist down here. Only hunger. Only fear. Only the sound of my own heartbeat echoing in the dark. How did I get here? The hospital parking lot. November wind cutting through my scrubs. I'd just finished a 16-hour shift. My legs were shaking. My head pounding. I fumbled for my keys near my car. Then, nothing. A sharp sting in my neck. Darkness swallowing everything. That was months ago. At least I think it was months. Down here, time loses all meaning. The masked man who brings food never speaks. He slides a tray across the floor, watches me from the doorway like I'm an animal in a cage, then leaves. Sometimes he comes twice in what feels like a day. Sometimes not at all. Those stretches leave my stomach cramping, my vision swimming, my throat burning with thirst. I tried screaming in the beginning. Screamed until my voice shattered. But no one came. No one ever comes. Tonight feels different. Voices above. Not the usual creaking footsteps. Multiple people. Shouting. Something crashes upstairs. Glass shatters. My heart slams against my ribs as I press myself into the corner, trying to make myself invisible. The chain scrapes across concrete, that horrible metal-on-stone sound I've grown to hate. Then the door at the top of the stairs explodes inward. With splinters. Heavy boots thunder down the steps. Bright white light floods the basement, so intense I have to shield my eyes with my arm. Jesus Christ. The voice is male. Deep. Controlled rage barely contained beneath those two words. I can't see him yet. Just his silhouette against the blinding light. Tall. Broad shoulders. He doesn't move for several seconds. Just stands there, frozen, staring down at me. Get bolt cutters. Now. He barks the order to someone I can't see. And get Dr. Costa on the phone. I need him at my house in 15 minutes. I don't care what he's doing. The light shifts as he moves closer. My eyes adjust enough to see him properly. Dark hair, damp from rain. An expensive suit that clings to his frame, soaked through. His face is angular, sharp jawline shadowed by stubble. But what catches me are his eyes. Dark brown, nearly black in this light. And burning with a fury that makes me press harder into the wall. I'm not going to hurt you. His voice is softer now, carefully controlled. He crouches down, staying just out of reach. My name is Kenneth. Kenneth Kramer. Do you understand me? I nod. My voice won't work. Months of screaming myself hoarse taught me that nobody comes when you scream. Can you tell me your name? Grace. The word comes out as a croak, barely recognizable. Grace Gross. Something flickers across his face. Not recognition. Something darker. He pulls out his phone, types something with sharp, angry movements, then looks back at me. You're a nurse. You work at Chicago General. It's not a question. But I nod anyway. How does he know that? Another man appears at the bottom of the stairs, carrying large metal cutters. He takes one look at me and his expression hardens into something cold and furious. Boss, I can see what this is, Vincent. Kenneth takes the bolt cutters and approaches slowly, like I'm a wounded animal that might bolt. Grace, I'm going to cut this chain. The noise might be loud. Okay. I nod again. When the metal parts with a sharp crack, the sudden absence of weight on my ankle makes me dizzy. Kenneth catches me before I pitch forward, his hands careful on my arms. Easy. When did you last eat? I can't remember. Yesterday? The day before? The days all blur together down here. He curses under his breath and scoops me up like I weigh nothing. My instinct is to fight, to struggle. But my body won't cooperate. Months of minimal food and water have left me weak as paper. The car's waiting, boss. Vincent is already moving up the stairs ahead of us. The house above is chaos. Men in dark suits are tearing through rooms, pulling out drawers, overturning furniture. I catch glimpses as Kenneth carries me through. Expensive leather furniture. Framed photos on walls. A kitchen with gleaming stainless steel appliances. This isn't some abandoned warehouse. This is someone's home. Someone wealthy. Rain hammers down outside. Kenneth wraps his suit jacket around me before carrying me to a black car with tinted windows. The interior is warm. Leather seats soft beneath me. He slides in beside me and the car moves before I even process what's happening. Where? My voice breaks on the word. My house. You need medical attention. Food. Rest. He's looking at his phone, jaw tight with controlled fury. Vincent, I want every person who had access to that property identified. Every single one. And find Mark. I want him found tonight. Mark. The name sends ice through my veins. Kenneth notices my reaction immediately. His eyes lock onto mine, sharp and assessing. You know that name. It's not a question. Everything about this man deals in statements, in certainty. I swallow hard, tasting blood where I've bitten my cracked lips. The memory floods back. 6 months ago. Emergency room. A man came in after a minor car accident. Charming smile. Asked for my number. I said no. He insisted. I refused again. He left, but not before I'd treated his injuries, not before I'd seen his name on the intake form. Mark Rogers. Kenneth's hands curl into fists on his thighs. The leather of his gloves creaks. Mark Rogers is my younger brother. He says it quietly, but there's a razor edge beneath the words. Was my brother. What he did to you is unforgivable. Brother. This man's brother kept me chained in a basement for months. The car suddenly feels too small, too warm. My lungs can't find enough air. Breathe. Kenneth's hand hovers near my shoulder, but doesn't touch. I know what you're thinking. But Mark acts alone. Has for years. I didn't know about you. Nobody in my organization knew. How did you find me? Anonymous tip. 3 days ago. Someone called my private line and said to check the property on Lakeside Drive. His jaw clenches. Mark's house. The one I bought him 5 years ago when he said he wanted independence. I went there tonight expecting to find stolen merchandise. Maybe evidence of his gambling debts. He cuts himself off. Doesn't finish the sentence. But I hear it anyway. Not you. The car turns through iron gates that close behind us with a solid clang. The house at the end of the driveway is enormous. 3 stories of stone and glass, lit up against the night sky like a fortress. An older woman meets us at the door, her face creasing with concern when she sees me. Dio mio, she breathes. Lucia, prepare the guest room on the 2nd floor. Fresh sheets. I need water, juice, whatever broth you have ready. Kenneth carries me inside without breaking stride. Dr. Costa is on his way. Of course, Mr. Kramer. Right away. The house smells clean. Lavender and lemon polish. So different from the damp earth and mold of the basement. Kenneth takes me upstairs to a bedroom that's larger than my entire apartment was. Soft cream walls. White linens. A bathroom visible through an open door. He sets me down carefully on the bed. For the first time since finding me, uncertainty crosses his face. I should. Let Lucia help you. It's not appropriate for me to, he stops, seeming to realize how absurd propriety sounds after everything. I'll be right outside. Dr. Costa will be here soon. Wait. The word surprises us both. Why are you helping me? Kenneth looks at me for a long moment. Something shifts in his expression. Guilt. Anger. Something deeper I can't identify. Because my brother is a monster. And because when I saw you down there. He pauses. Because I should have known. I should have stopped him years ago. He moves toward the door. Get some rest, Grace. You're safe now. The door closes softly behind him. I sit on the edge of the bed, still wrapped in his jacket that smells like expensive cologne and rain, and try to process what just happened. 3 months in hell. Rescued by the brother of my captor. A man who clearly moves in the same dark world as Mark, but is treating me with more care than anyone showed me in the hospital where I used to work. Is this rescue? Or just another kind of cage? 6 months ago, I was someone else. Grace Gross, RN, 28 years old, 5 years out of nursing school, 3 years at Chicago General. I had an apartment in Lakeview with a view of nothing special. A cat named Pepper. Student loans I'd be paying off until I was 50. A life that was ordinary and mine. Mark Rogers walked into my emergency room on a Tuesday night in May. Minor car accident. Small cut on his forehead. Complained of neck pain. Charming smile. Asked questions about my shift, my accent, whether I was originally from Chicago. I answered politely while cleaning his wound, the way you do with patients who seem harmless. When I handed him his discharge papers, he asked for my number. I smiled and said no, I don't date patients. He laughed, said he understood, then asked again as I walked him to the exit. This time I was firmer. He left with that same smile, and I forgot about him by the end of my shift. I should have remembered. 3 weeks later, I left the hospital after a double shift. November had arrived early, cold wind cutting through my scrubs. The parking lot was nearly empty at 2 in the morning. I was fumbling with my keys, exhausted, thinking about nothing except my bed. The sting in my neck felt like an insect bite. Then the world tilted sideways and went black. I woke up in the basement. Concrete floor. Concrete walls. A single bulb hanging from the ceiling that Mark controlled from upstairs. The chain around my ankle was already there, bolted to a pipe that ran along the wall. 20 feet of length. Enough to reach the corner where he'd left a bucket. Not enough to reach the stairs. The masked man brought food. Sometimes twice a day. Sometimes not for days. I learned quickly not to waste energy screaming. Nobody came. Nobody heard. The house above was solid, well-built, isolated enough that my voice disappeared into nothing. Mark never came down himself. But I heard him. Footsteps above my head. Television. Phone calls where he laughed about business deals and dinner plans. Living his life while I rotted below it. I counted days by scratch marks on the wall until I lost track around 60. After that, time became something fluid and meaningless. I survived on rage at first. Then on stubbornness. Then on nothing at all except the basic animal instinct to keep breathing. Tonight, the voices above were different. Shouting. Crashes. Then the door exploded inward and light flooded down the stairs. Kenneth Kramer stood silhouetted against that light, fury radiating from him in waves. When he saw me, something in his expression cracked. Not pity. Something rawer than that. He cut the chain. Wrapped me in his jacket. Carried me out of that basement like I was something precious instead of something broken. In the car, rain drumming on the roof, he told me the truth I'd already guessed. Mark Rogers was his brother. And this rescue wasn't kindness. It was Kenneth cleaning up a mess that shared his blood. The mansion swallows me whole. Iron gates close behind us with a finality that should terrify me, but I'm too exhausted to feel anything except relief that the basement is behind me. Lucia, the older woman who met us at the door, has hands that are gentle when she helps me upstairs. She doesn't ask questions. Doesn't stare at the wound around my ankle or the way my bones press against skin like I'm something fragile that might shatter. Just guides me with maternal efficiency to a bathroom attached to a bedroom larger than my entire apartment was. The shower is the first kindness. Lucia stays close, but gives me privacy, her presence a comfort rather than an intrusion. The water runs gray at first, then brown, carrying away months of captivity in swirls down the drain. I scrub until my skin turns raw, trying to wash away more than just dirt. My reflection in the fogged mirror is skeletal. Hollow eyes sunken into a face I barely recognize. Matted hair that hangs in clumps, needing scissors more than shampoo. Bruises in various stages of healing paint my arms in ugly yellows and greens. The woman staring back at me is a stranger. Lucia wraps me in a soft robe that smells like lavender and something else, safety maybe, though I'm not sure I remember what that feels like. She helps me to the bed without making me feel helpless, a delicate balance I'm grateful for. The sheets are cool and clean against my skin, so different from the concrete floor I've been sleeping on. I want to sleep for a week, a month, forever. Dr. Costa arrives within the hour, punctual and professional. He's older, maybe 60, with silver hair and steady hands that remind me of the best doctors I worked with at Chicago General. There's no judgment in his eyes when he examines me, just clinical assessment and quiet compassion. He checks the infection brewing in my ankle, the skin around the chain wound angry and hot to the touch. Takes my vitals with practiced efficiency. Draws blood for tests I know by heart from my nursing days. White count, metabolic panel, hemoglobin, vitamin levels. Kenneth stands in the corner the entire time, watching with that carefully controlled fury that seems to define him. His jaw is tight, hands fisted at his sides. He doesn't speak. Just observes like he's memorizing every injury his brother inflicted, cataloging each wound as evidence for some internal trial. She's severely malnourished, Dr. Costa says quietly, addressing Kenneth rather than me, which should irritate me but doesn't. I'm too tired to care about being talked over. The ankle needs aggressive antibiotics, possibly surgical debridement if the infection doesn't respond to medication. She's dehydrated. Almost certainly vitamin deficient across the board. He closes his medical bag with a soft click. But she's strong. Remarkably so. With proper care, she'll recover. Recover. The word feels foreign on my tongue. Like it belongs to someone else's story, not mine. Thank you, Vincent. Kenneth's voice is rough, scraped raw by whatever emotions he's keeping locked down. Whatever she needs, you provide it. I don't care what it costs. After the doctor leaves with promises to return tomorrow, Lucia brings warm broth in a delicate bowl painted with flowers. She sits with me while I force down spoonfuls that my stomach has to relearn how to process. She hums something under her breath, Italian maybe, something that sounds like a lullaby my mother used to sing before the accident that took her. You're safe here, Piccolina, she whispers, patting my hand with weathered fingers. Mr. Kramer, he is a good man. He will protect you. I want to believe her. God, I want to believe her so badly it aches. But I've learned that safety is an illusion. That good men can have brothers who are monsters. That protection is just another word for control, and control is what got me chained in a basement for 3 months. Kenneth doesn't come back that night. I hear his voice sometimes, down the hall or on a lower floor. Deep timbre giving orders, making calls, conducting business I don't understand and probably don't want to. But he keeps his distance, and I'm grateful for it. I need space to breathe, to remember how to exist without a chain around my ankle. I sleep fitfully, waking every few hours convinced I'm back in the basement. The sheets tangle around my legs and for a moment they feel like metal biting into skin. The 4th time I wake screaming, tangled and gasping, I hear footsteps in the hallway. Quick. Purposeful. Kenneth appears in the doorway, backlit by the hall light. He's still dressed, suit jacket discarded but shirt buttoned, like he never went to bed. He doesn't ask if I'm okay. The answer is written across my face in tear tracks and terror. Would it help if I stayed? His voice is careful, neutral. Just until you fall asleep. I can sit in the chair. The offer surprises me. Why would you do that? Because you're in my house, under my protection, and you're afraid. If my presence helps, I'll provide it. It's not romantic. Not kind in the soft, gentle way people usually mean. Just pragmatic. Transactional. A problem identified and a solution offered. And somehow that makes it easier to accept than false comfort or empty promises. Okay. He pulls the armchair from the corner to a spot near the window where he can see both the door and me. Sits down, long legs stretched out in front of him, arms crossed over his chest. Doesn't speak. Doesn't try to soothe me with words that would feel hollow. Just exists there, a solid presence between me and whatever nightmares wait in the dark. I fall asleep to the sound of his breathing, steady and even. When I wake at dawn with sunlight streaming through windows I didn't know existed, he's gone. The chair sits empty, but somehow I feel less alone than I have in months. The days blur together, but in a different way than the basement. Here, time is marked by Dr. Costa's visits, by Lucia's meals arriving on schedule, by the slow return of strength to limbs that forgot what it meant to move freely. A week passes. Then 2. The infection in my ankle retreats under the assault of antibiotics. The hollows in my cheeks begin to fill. My body remembers how to be human again. Kenneth becomes a ghost in his own house. I see him sometimes in passing. A shadow moving through the hallway outside my room. His voice drifting up from the study downstairs, always tense, always controlled. Once, I catch him standing in the doorway watching me eat breakfast with Lucia, but he disappears before I can acknowledge him. He never comes close. Never asks how I'm feeling. Never repeats that first night when he sat in the chair until I fell asleep. The distance should be a relief. Instead, it feels like abandonment, which is ridiculous. I barely know this man. He saved me from his brother's basement. He owes me nothing beyond the medical care he's already providing. But something about his absence scrapes against the raw parts of me that haven't healed yet. Lucia notices. She always notices. Mr. Kramer, he blames himself. She tells me one afternoon while folding laundry in my room. He thinks if he was a better brother, a better man, Mark would not have become what he is. That's not how it works. The words come automatically, nurse training overriding everything else. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. You tell him that, Piccolina. Maybe he listens to you. But Kenneth doesn't give me the chance. He's always gone before I gather the courage to seek him out. Always busy with business I don't understand, hunting a brother who's vanished into whatever dark holes men like Mark disappear into. The nightmares continue. Some nights I wake gasping, convinced the chain is back around my ankle. Other nights I dream of the masked man's footsteps on the stairs, the scrape of the food tray across concrete, the sound of Mark's laughter filtering down from above. Those nights are the worst, because they're just memories playing on loop. Kenneth comes on the bad nights. I don't know how he knows, whether he can hear me from wherever he is in this massive house or if he's been listening for it. But when I wake screaming, he appears. Never asks permission anymore. Just pulls the chair to its spot by the window and settles in like a sentinel. We don't talk during these vigils. Words would require explanations neither of us is ready to give. He sits. I lie in bed with my heart slowly remembering how to beat normally. Sometimes I fall back asleep quickly. Sometimes it takes hours. He never leaves until I do. On the 12th night, I break the silence. You don't have to keep doing this. I know. His voice is quiet in the darkness. Do you want me to stop? I should say yes. Should reclaim my independence, prove I can survive the nights alone. But the truth sits heavy in my chest. No. Something shifts in the air between us. Not quite trust. Not quite understanding. But the beginning of something that might become both given enough time. Then I'll stay, he says simply. And he does. Night after night. Sitting in that chair while I fight my demons in sleep. Never touching. Never pushing. Just existing in the space between protection and presence, guilt and something that might eventually look like forgiveness. It's not friendship. It's not romance. It's survival wearing a different face, and for now, that's enough for both of us. 3 weeks into my stay at Kenneth's mansion, I start going stir-crazy. The bedroom feels less like a sanctuary and more like a gilded cage. My body is stronger now, the infection fully cleared, weight returning to my frame. Dr. Costa reduced his visits to twice a week, declaring me on the mend. But healing physically doesn't mean I know what to do with myself. Lucia finds me in the kitchen one morning, staring at the coffee maker like it holds the secrets of the universe. You are restless, Piccolina. I need to do something. Anything. The words tumble out. I can't just sit in that room anymore. I'll lose my mind. She considers this, then nods. You help me today. I teach you to make proper Italian food. Your American cooking, it is tragedy. It's not what I expected, but it's something. We spend the morning in the kitchen, Lucia's domain, and I lose myself in the simple act of chopping vegetables, stirring sauce, learning the difference between good pasta and great pasta. My hands remember the precision of nursing, translating it into cooking. It feels good to be useful again. One of Kenneth's guards, Marcus, comes in nursing a wrapped hand. Lucia, you got any? He stops when he sees me. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. What happened? The question is automatic, nurse instincts kicking in before I can stop them. Just a cut. Caught it on some metal in the garage. Nothing serious. Let me see. I'm already moving toward him, taking his hand before he can protest. The wrapping is sloppy, already seeping blood through the gauze. This needs to be cleaned properly. You have a first aid kit. Lucia produces one from under the sink. I work methodically, unwrapping the injury, cleaning it with antiseptic, examining the depth. You need stitches. This is too deep for butterfly closures. Dr. Costa doesn't come until Thursday. I can do it. I'm a nurse. Was a nurse. I'm a nurse? The identity feels slippery. If you trust me. Marcus glances at Lucia, who nods encouragingly. Okay. My hands are steady as I thread the suture. Muscle memory takes over, years of training in emergency rooms guiding each movement. It feels like coming home to a part of myself I thought I'd lost in that basement. When I tie off the final knot, something tight in my chest loosens. Word spreads. Over the next few days, more guards find reasons to stop by the kitchen. A sprained ankle that needs wrapping. A persistent cough that needs evaluation. A blood pressure check for someone's worried wife. I treat them all, grateful for purpose, for the ability to help instead of just being helped. Kenneth finds me one evening in what I've started calling my makeshift clinic at the kitchen table, restocking the first aid kit. He leans against the doorframe, watching with an expression I can't quite read. You've been busy. I needed to be useful. I hope that's okay. It's more than okay. He moves closer, something shifting in his usual careful distance. Marcus told me what you did. Said you have the steadiest hands he's ever seen. It's just nursing. It's what I know. It's more than that. His voice is quiet. You've been through hell, and you're using what you know to help others. That's not just nursing. That's strength. The compliment catches me off guard. Kenneth doesn't do empty praise. Thank you for letting me. For not keeping me locked away like some fragile thing that might break. You're not fragile, Grace. His eyes meet mine, and for the first time since that night in the basement, I see past the guilt and fury to something gentler underneath. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met. Something warm unfurls in my chest. Not attraction, exactly. Not yet, but recognition. The sense that maybe Kenneth Kramer sees me as I actually am, not as the victim his brother tried to create. Stay for coffee? The offer surprises us both. He hesitates, then pulls out a chair. Yeah, I can do that. We sit across from each other at the kitchen table, two damaged people learning how to exist in the same space without walls between us. It's not much, but it's a beginning. Before we continue with Grace and Kenneth's story, I need to ask for your help. If you're enjoying this journey, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss what happens next. Your likes and comments truly make a difference. They help us know you're invested in Grace's story, and they help other readers find this content too. Drop a comment below telling us what you think of Kenneth so far. Is he genuinely trying to protect Grace, or is this just another form of control? Your thoughts fuel our creativity and help us bring you more emotional, dramatic stories. Now, let's return to the night everything changes. The explosion happens at 2 in the morning. I'm dreaming about the basement when the first blast shakes the house. The windows in my room rattle in their frames. Somewhere downstairs, glass shatters. My eyes snap open, and for a horrible moment I think I'm back there, that the rescue is the dream and this is reality crashing back in. Then Kenneth bursts through my door, gun in hand, face harder than I've ever seen it. Get up. Now. I'm moving before my brain catches up, stumbling out of bed in the oversized shirt I sleep in. Another explosion, closer this time. The house shudders. Gunfire erupts from somewhere outside, sharp cracks that make my nursing instincts scream about entry wounds and arterial bleeding. Kenneth grabs my arm, not rough but urgent. Stay close to me. We run down the hallway. Marcus appears from a side corridor, blood streaming from a cut above his eye. Boss, they breached the south entrance. At least 6 hostiles. Professional. The panic room. Now. Kenneth's voice is deadly calm, the kind of calm that comes from training, from experience with violence I've only ever treated the aftermath of. He pulls me toward a section of wall that looks like every other section until he presses something and it swings inward. The space beyond is small, reinforced concrete, lined with monitors showing security camera feeds. I catch glimpses of men in tactical gear moving through Kenneth's house with military precision. This isn't random. This is coordinated. Kenneth seals the door behind us. The sounds of gunfire become muffled, distant. We're alone in this tomb of concrete and technology, close enough that I can hear his breathing, harsh and controlled. Mark. I don't phrase it as a question. Yes. He's watching the monitors, jaw tight. He hired professionals. Waited until he thought I'd be vulnerable. Because of me. Because he's a coward who can't face me directly. Kenneth finally looks at me, and something in his expression cracks. Grace, I'm sorry. I should have moved you somewhere safer. Should have anticipated this. You saved me from a basement. You don't get to apologize for the consequences. My voice is steadier than I feel. Outside this room, men are trying to kill us. Inside, I'm realizing that Kenneth Kramer, the mafia boss who controls half this city's underground, is terrified. Not for himself. For me. Another explosion rocks the house. Closer. The lights flicker. If they breach this room, Kenneth starts. They won't. I move closer, surprised by my own certainty. You won't let them. He looks at me like I've said something profound instead of obvious. You shouldn't have faith in me. I'm the reason you're in danger. No. Mark is the reason. I'm close enough now to see the guilt eating him alive. You're the reason I'm alive. The distinction matters. Kenneth needs to hear it as much as I need to say it. The gunfire intensifies, then gradually fades. Vincent's voice crackles through the intercom. Boss, we've got them contained. 3 down, 3 retreating. Area secure. Kenneth doesn't move immediately. Just stands there in this concrete box, looking at me like he's seeing me for the first time. Not as his brother's victim. Not as someone who needs protecting. But as someone who chose to stand beside him when the walls came down. We need to leave, he says finally. This house isn't safe anymore. I have a property up north. Isolated. Better security. Okay. Just like that? No argument. Just like that. Because somewhere between the basement and the panic room, I stopped being just a victim in Kenneth Kramer's story. I became something else. Something neither of us has words for yet. The northern property is nothing like the mansion. It's smaller, more fortress than home, nestled in woods so dense the nearest neighbor is 5 miles away. The isolation should terrify me after months of being trapped alone. Instead, it feels like breathing room. Kenneth's men swept the property twice before letting us inside. Vincent stationed guards at every entrance. Motion sensors cover the perimeter. It's a cage, but it's a cage with windows that open and doors I can walk through whenever I choose. That matters more than Kenneth probably realizes. The first morning, I wake to silence. Not the oppressive silence of the basement, but the quiet of trees and wind and distance from the chaos Mark brought to our doorstep. I find Kenneth in the kitchen, attempting to make coffee with the kind of focused intensity most people reserve for defusing bombs. Lucia isn't here to save you from your own cooking, I say from the doorway. He looks up, something almost like a smile ghosting across his face. I'm aware. Which is why I'm making coffee and nothing else. Smart man. I move to the counter, taking over with the ease of someone who's spent the last week learning Lucia's kitchen inside and out. How do you run a criminal empire but can't operate a coffee maker? Delegation. I'm excellent at delegation. It's the first joke I've heard him make. The sound of my own laughter surprises me. We fall into routines without planning them. Kenneth works from the study, conducting business over encrypted calls. I explore the property, walking paths through the woods with Vincent trailing at a respectful distance. My legs remember strength. My lungs remember how to expand fully. I'm not the skeletal thing Kenneth carried out of that basement anymore. In the evenings, we cook together. Kenneth's skills are limited, but he follows instructions well. We talk about small things. Books. Music. The way seasons change differently this far north. We don't talk about Mark or the basement or what happens when this temporary safety ends. One night, 3 weeks into our stay at the northern property, Kenneth finds me on the back porch watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. He hands me a glass of wine without asking if I want it, then settles into the chair beside mine. "You seem different," he says quietly. "Different how?" "Lighter. Like you're remembering how to take up space in the world again." The observation is so accurate it steals my breath. "Is that okay?" "It's more than okay, Grace. It's what I've been hoping for." He turns to look at me, and there's something in his expression that makes my heart stutter. Not pity. Not guilt. Something warmer, more dangerous. "You deserve to take up all the space you want." The space between us feels charged suddenly. Electric. I should move away, maintain the careful distance we've built. Instead, I lean closer. "Kenneth. I know." His voice is rough. "I know we shouldn't. But God help me, Grace, I can't stop thinking about you. About this. About what it might mean if we stopped pretending there's nothing here." My hand finds his. Our fingers intertwine like they've been waiting for permission. "Then stop pretending," I whisper. And he does. Kenneth's world requires appearances. Even in hiding, even with Mark hunting us, there are obligations that can't be ignored without showing weakness. The charity gala is one of them. A gathering of Chicago's elite, politicians and criminals wearing the same expensive suits, pretending the lines between them aren't blurred beyond recognition. "You don't have to come," Kenneth says for the third time while adjusting his tie in the mirror. We've been at the northern property for a month. The gala means returning to the city, to exposure, to danger. I can make excuses. And let everyone think you're afraid? I smoothed down the black dress Lucia had delivered, simple but elegant, the kind that costs more than I used to make in a month. "That's not how this works. You taught me that." His eyes meet mine in the reflection. "I'm teaching you to think like a criminal. I'm not sure that's something to be proud of. You're teaching me to survive in your world. There's a difference." The gala is held in a hotel ballroom that drips with old money and older secrets. Crystal chandeliers. String quartet. Waiters circulating with champagne that probably costs more per glass than my nursing school textbooks. I feel eyes on us the moment we enter, assessing, calculating, wondering who I am and what I mean to Kenneth Kramer. He keeps me close, his hand at the small of my back, a claim and a shield all at once. Men approach to talk business. Women eye me with curiosity barely masked as politeness. I smile and nod and say nothing of substance, playing the role Kenneth needs me to play. "You're doing well," he murmurs during a brief moment alone at our table. "Better than most people do their first time in the Shark Tank. I survived 3 months in your brother's basement. This is just predators in better clothing." Something dark flashes in his eyes. Guilt. Anger. Something else I'm learning to recognize as desire poorly contained. A man approaches, older, silver-haired, carrying himself with the kind of authority that comes from decades of power. "Kenneth, I heard you had a guest. Aren't you going to introduce us?" Kenneth's hand tightens almost imperceptibly on my waist. "Grace, this is Senator Morrison. Senator Grace Gross. My partner. Partner. Not girlfriend. Not companion. Partner." The word carries weight in this world, implies permanence, equality, protection. The senator's eyes sharpen with interest. "Charming. I wasn't aware you were in the market for partnerships, Kenneth." I wasn't. Kenneth's voice could cut glass. Then circumstances changed. The senator moves on, but others circle. Each introduction is a test, a probe for weakness, an attempt to understand what I represent in Kenneth's carefully constructed empire. He deflects them all with the precision of someone who's played this game his entire life. In the bathroom, a woman in diamonds corners me at the mirror. "You should know what you're getting into with Kenneth Kramer. Men like him don't love. They possess. Good thing I'm not looking to be loved then." Her laugh is sharp. "Oh, darling. You already are. And so is he. That's what makes it dangerous. Back at the table, Kenneth's jaw is tight, tension radiating from him in waves. We're leaving. The gala isn't over. I don't care. He stands, offering his hand. I need to get you out of here before I do something stupid like kiss you in front of everyone who'd use it against us. My heart hammers. Would that be so terrible? Yes. His eyes burn. Because then they'd know exactly how to hurt me. The call comes 2 days after the gala. Mark wants to meet. Neutral ground, a warehouse in the industrial district. Just him and Kenneth. No guns. No guards. Just brothers settling accounts the way their father would have wanted. It's a trap, I say immediately when Kenneth tells me. We're in the study at the northern property, winter sun streaming through windows that overlook frozen woods. I know. Kenneth's voice is flat, emotionless. The tone he uses when he's already made a decision and won't be argued out of it. But it's the first time he's surfaced in months. I can't ignore it. Then take backup. Take an army. He'll run if I do. This ends tonight, Grace. One way or another. Vincent drives us to the warehouse, 3 other cars following at a distance. Kenneth made me promise to stay in the vehicle, to let him handle this alone. I agreed because arguing was pointless. But promises made under duress don't count, and watching the man I've fallen for walk into his brother's trap without me feels like betrayal. The warehouse is exactly what you'd expect. Abandoned. Crumbling concrete. Broken windows. Kenneth disappears inside while Vincent and I wait in tense silence. Minutes crawl past. 5. 10. Then I see it. A van parked 2 buildings over, engine running, exhaust visible in the cold air. No reason for anyone to be sitting in a running van in an abandoned industrial district unless they're waiting for something. Vincent, that van. He follows my gaze, body going rigid. Stay here. But I'm already moving, some instinct screaming that this is wrong, that Mark isn't inside that warehouse at all. The van's side door is partially open. I catch a glimpse of equipment inside. Cameras. Monitors. Someone watching the warehouse. Watching Kenneth walk into an empty building while the real trap waits elsewhere. Grace, get back. Vincent's shout comes too late. The van door slides fully open and Mark is there, older than I remember from the hospital, face twisted with something that might be rage or obsession or both. Hello, Grace. Miss me? Everything happens at once. Vincent draws his weapon. Mark lunges for me. Gunfire erupts from the warehouse direction. Then Kenneth is there, appearing from somewhere I didn't see, slamming into Mark with the full force of controlled fury finally unleashed. They go down hard. Mark fights like a cornered animal, all desperation and dirty tactics. But Kenneth fights like someone with everything to lose, and there's no contest. Within seconds, Mark is face down on the pavement, Kenneth's knee in his back, zip ties securing his wrists. The warehouse was bait, Kenneth growls. You wanted Grace, not me. Mark laughs, the sound unhinged. She's mine. She was always supposed to be mine. You took everything else, but you don't get to take her. Vincent appears, dragging another man. I recognize him immediately. David, one of Kenneth's guards from the mansion. The one who always seemed too interested in my routine, too curious about Kenneth's schedule. Found him trying to leave in the van, Vincent says. You're traitor, boss. Kenneth's face goes cold. How long? 6 months, David spits. Mark paid better. And he understood loyalty to blood, not to some self-righteous king playing at honor. Kenneth stands slowly, leaving Mark restrained on the ground. Blood? His voice is deadly quiet. My brother kidnapped an innocent woman. Kept her chained like an animal. Hired men to attack my home. And you call that loyalty? He doesn't wait for an answer. Take them both. Separate locations. I want to know everything Mark planned, everyone he contacted. Every person who helped him. His eyes find mine across the space between us. And Grace? We're going to have a conversation about what stay in the car means. Despite everything, despite the adrenaline and fear and Mark's unhinged laughter, I almost smile. Because Kenneth's fury isn't about control. It's about terror that I might have been hurt. And somehow, that makes all the difference. Kenneth gives me a choice. You don't have to see him. You don't owe him anything, Grace. Not closure. Not confrontation. Nothing. But I need to. Not for Mark. For myself. To look the monster in the eye and prove that he didn't break me, that 3 months in his basement didn't destroy the person I was fighting to become. They're holding him in a secure location outside the city. Kenneth escorts me personally, his presence a silent promise that Mark will never touch me again. We enter a room divided by reinforced glass. Mark sits on the other side, hands cuffed to the table, face bruised from Kenneth's takedown. He smiles when he sees me. That same charming smile from the hospital 6 months ago. Grace, you look beautiful. Healthy. Kenneth's been taking good care of you. You don't get to talk to me like we're friends. My voice is steady, stronger than I expected. You kidnapped me. Chained me. Starved me. You tried to break me into something you could own. I loved you. He says it like it explains everything, justifies everything. From the moment you touched my face in that emergency room, I knew you were meant to be mine. I just needed time to make you see it. That's not love, Mark. That's obsession. That's sickness. I lean closer to the glass. And you failed. You had 3 months to break me and you failed. I'm still here. I'm still me. And I'm choosing to be with your brother, not because he owns me, but because he sees me as a person. Because he gave me choice when you tried to take it away. Something ugly twists across Mark's face. He'll hurt you eventually. Kenneth destroys everything he touches. It's what our family does. Maybe. Or maybe he's different because he's trying to be. I stand. Either way, it's my choice to make. And you don't get a vote anymore. I leave him there, raging behind glass, and feel lighter than I have in months. Kenneth is waiting in the hallway. How do you feel? Free. The word tastes like truth. What happens to him now? Prison. Multiple charges. He'll never see daylight as a free man again. Kenneth's joy tightens. I made sure of it. Over the next month, Kenneth dismantles the parts of his empire that enabled Mark's darkness. Cuts ties with business partners who looked the other way. Redirects money into legitimate ventures. It won't erase what he's done, who he is, but it's a start toward something better. We don't go back to the mansion or the northern property. Instead, Kenneth buys a house. Not a fortress. Not a hideout. Just a home in a quiet neighborhood with good schools nearby and neighbors who wave from their porches. It's so normal it feels revolutionary. Are you sure about this? I ask while unpacking boxes in our kitchen. Our kitchen. The possessive still feels new, fragile, like something that might shatter if I hold it too tightly. Kenneth crosses to me, takes my face in his hands. I've never been more sure of anything. You make me want to be better, Grace. To build something that isn't soaked in blood and guilt. I can't fix you. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to choose me anyway. Broken parts and all. I kiss him then, pouring everything into it. Gratitude. Trust. Love that grew in the strangest soil but bloomed anyway. I choose you. Every day. I choose you. We build our life one day at a time. I return to nursing, part-time at first, then full-time when the nightmares fade to manageable echoes. Kenneth continues his work, reshaping his empire into something he won't be ashamed to explain to the children we might have someday. We attend therapy. We fight sometimes about stupid things like dishes and thermostat settings. We laugh more than I ever thought possible. Mark remains in prison. The nightmares still come occasionally, but Kenneth is always there, sitting in his chair by the window until sleep reclaims me. Some scars never fully heal, but they fade. They become part of the story instead of the whole story. 6 months after Mark's capture, Kenneth proposes over breakfast. No grand gesture. No elaborate plan. Just a simple question asked over coffee and toast. Marry me. Build this life with me. Choose me forever. I don't hesitate. Yes, because sometimes the most beautiful futures grow from the darkest pasts. Because healing isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to move forward anyway. Because Kenneth Kramer found me chained in his brother's basement and gave me back my life. And I found a man buried under guilt and duty and showed him he was worth saving too. We saved each other. And that's how our story begins. But wait. If you need more stories like this, I'm begging you, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss out on interesting stories. Drop a comment below telling me. Do you think they'll finally get their happily ever after, or is their greatest challenge still ahead? Your comments fuel these stories. Your engagement tells me you care about these characters as much as I do. Like this video if Grace's strength inspired you. Share it if you know someone who loves dramatic romance with real stakes. ***. This story doesn't end here. Grace and Kenneth's journey is just beginning. But I can only continue if you show me you want more. Thank you so much for watching, for investing in Grace's healing and Kenneth's redemption. Your support means everything. Until next time, remember, even in our darkest moments, we have the power to choose light. We have the power to choose love. And sometimes, that choice is the bravest thing we'll ever do. See you in my next video. Thank you.